There's some big news in terms of transfers coming out of Italy involving AC Milan and Juventus. Paolo, what can you tell us?
Yeah, it looks like we're very, very close to getting everything done on the deal that everyone's been talking about for the last couple of days, which would be Higuain going to Milan and also Caldara going to Milan. So a centre-back and a striker on the way to Milan from Juventus, with Leonardo Bonucci, of course, going in the opposite direction. So a sort of incredible about-face from just one summer ago when Bonucci was the big coup of Milan's summer of 200 million euro spending. He was the centrepiece, he was the star. And he's already on his way back to Turin, where a lot of people aren't happy about it, by the way. A lot of Juventus fans not thrilled with the idea of him coming back after deserting the club, in their view, certainly. And meanwhile, two very important pieces going the other way. So potentially, well, not potentially, this is basically a done deal now. A huge deal for Serie A for Juventus and Milan.
Well, I know you said that that Juventus fans probably felt a bit aggrieved that Bonucci deserted them, but we know that he had a bit of a spat with Allegri, and interesting to see him now coming back to that. Do you see that coming into play at all, or have they kissed and made up?
I mean, of course, this is going to be a huge sort of central piece of it all. Look, Allegri's always been a big pragmatist. Allegri has always been someone who is willing to not get into big disputes, not let little off-pitch things stop him from focusing on what he considers to be important. I think he will probably feel like he kind of proved his point over the last two seasons. Of course, this all, I don't know if you can say it began there, but the moment where it really went public was when Allegri benched Leonardo Bonucci for a Champions League knockout tie against Porto. Big game away in the Champions League. And at the time, Bonucci was absolutely considered an indispensable part of that starting 11. So he showed his power in that situation. Juventus still won and went through the tie. And at the end of the season, it wasn't Allegri that left. It was Bonucci who left. So Allegri has already shown that when push comes to shove, he has the backing of the club. He's the guy who's going to have the support of the people, his higher-ups, in effect. So it's Bonucci who has to eat the humble pie here, who has to come back, who's taking a reported €2 million cut in his salary to come back as well, by the way. There's no question anymore that Allegri is in charge of this situation. And if Bonucci is willing to work with him, is willing to play his way, I don't see it being a problem for the manager, at least. I think the bigger problem is going to be with the fans.
Stevie, do you think this is going to be able to be a bit of a problem?
No, not at all. Not at all. Bonucci's coming back because he knows the grass isn't greener. He's realised how lucky he was to be at Juventus. Allegri, as Paolo says, is now the guy in power. And I'm sure Allegri will make sure Bonucci knows that. But Bonucci is going to walk through that door with his tail between his legs. He'll be like a wee lapdog, and it'll be, Allegri, you just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
So he's swallowing his humble pie, you think?
This is going to be the biggest humble pie eating competition winner you'll ever see.
Shaka, who's got the better of this deal, you think?
Well, who's got the better of the deal? Milan have to get two players that I think they need. And then for Juventus, they've got that partnership back together again with Giorgio Chiellini. I'm with Stevie here. If Leonardo Bonucci does actually eat humble pie and recognise the power structure within this dressing room, then yes, it all works fine. My issue with that is, very rarely you do see players eat humble pie in that manner. If Bonucci does, this works perfectly for club, player and manager. If he doesn't, we've just got a reopening of the same wounds of just over 12 months ago.